I mentioned that the data analysis part contains descriptive statistics, for example. In this case, the code interpreter ran these already as part of the data preparation process up here, which is not a problem at all. Typically, we would do it in the next step though. Still, we can have a look at the table right here to see the row count, the mean for the specific columns, the standard deviation, and many other things. Therefore, I won't apply these statistics again, obviously, but instead we could also calculate other numbers here in this analysis and visualization part. One thing we could be interested, for example, is how many products were sold on average on a specific weekday. Let's see if ChatGPT is able to identify the weekday based on the date and to then calculate this average quantity sold for each weekday. For this, I could say provide a table with the average quantity sold on each weekday. And we get an average of around about 50 for each weekday. Obviously, this dataset was created in Python by us, you saw that, so we can discuss whether this is realistic. Still, the important thing is that creating such tables and analyzing data quickly here with ChatGPT works quite nicely with the code interpreter. I don't want to dive too deep into the data analysis part though, because actually creating a table here is already a type of visual. Therefore, we can now continue with the data visualization already. And the code interpreter can create many different chart types, many different visual types. For example, I could turn this into a bar chart. If I do that, I get a bar chart with this information, now also with correctly sorted weekdays. As we are still working in the same sandbox, we can also refer to any kind of information that we have in our dataset. So for example, I could create a line chart with the monthly sales. And this brings us some important information. One thing is that we obviously forecasted our data a bit. Let's take it the way it is. And we also see we have some kind of low sales months at the beginning of 2021, 22, and 23. As said, these are not real data, but generally with that you can quickly plot your charts and see or find interesting data points in your data. We could also try to tell the code interpreter to come up with charts on its own. So for example, create important charts to better understand the data set. Let's see what this brings us. And now we get 4 new charts, more or less new charts. We had some of these already, with some additional information about what was displayed and also some insight about the data that is displayed in here. Now, of course, we could dive deeper here into the data, create more charts and so on, but the idea here was to give you a general overview of the capabilities of the code interpreter when it comes to data analytics. Therefore, let's now leave this area and let's move on with the next use case of the code interpreter.